It's here, it's finally here. The grand finals of the DAC European qualifiers, a best of three between Bears and Team Liquid. The rematch. It was an epic series last go around, and I'm sure both of these teams are going to leave it all out in the field here because qualifying to DAC is pretty prestigious. It's kind of like a bit of a major. Since we did lose one, DAC kind of picks that right back up, and we have three major events before TI. And even just not just going to DAC itself, but qualifying shows a lot of strength in your team. But I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to welcome in my co-caster, Tsunami, who's going to be helping me break down the draft as it progresses.
I'm still reeling from that previous series. It's a damn shame that Cloud9 wasn't able to move forward. But, I mean, out of the three that made it, Liquid, Cloud9, and Bears, I'm not surprised that Bears ended up besting C9. It's, I guess it just doesn't always come down to how long you play together as a squad, just how well you know each other. And Bears seem to know each other very well, and they seem to know how to play around this wonderkind Furo extremely well as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like people kept asking me, how's Fada's team going to do? How's Fada's team going to do? And I'm going to look at it. Like, Fada is probably one of he was, in my mind, top 5 mids of last season. Right, he was very good. He didn't always get the praise he should have, but I feel like he was one of those suffocating mids that always had really good performances no matter what. Then you've got Yapsor, who is easily one of the you called Firo a wonder kid. I think Yapsor is definitely one of those as well. Right, he's been recognized on Escape as being one of the best 4 positions out there you could get your hands on. And Escape did not have a whole lot of prolific success as a team. They were not a tier 1 team, I think, ever. And people still pointed to Yapsor as what an amazing player he was. And then you've got Farev, easily top 5 offlaners in the world right now. I think the more I watch this guy, he's getting closer and closer to that top 3 spot, where for me it was Universe, Ice, and Faith Beyond sitting on that area. But honestly, it's kind of up there. Who knows who the best offlaners are right now. And then Vero definitely proved himself. And honestly, I'm leaving Adam short because he's the hard fight position, but this guy made Fnatic work when it just wasn't working. So, obviously from a leadership perspective, from a support position, this guy knows what he's doing. And probably is never going to get the praise he adequately deserves, as most hard fight positions are not. But enough about Bears. Team Liquid have just seemed, we got to praise Bears some, because Liquid, I don't think there's any praise needed, right? Because they look unstoppable. The only team who came close to it was Bears, and that game 1 and even game 2 with a surprise Meepo pickup, they did seem to put up one hell of a fight and almost managed to take down Liquid anyway. So
yeah, whatever Bears brings to the table in terms of the competency of each of their roles, it seems like Liquid just turns that up just like to 11 for each one of their positions. I mean, I don't need to talk about these players. Everyone knows these players, but I'm not surprised that Bears had to, I wouldn't say resort to a surprise Meepo pick, but or wait, no, Liquid took the Meepo, didn't they?
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. So I mean, that just goes to show that Liquid needs all the tricks they can get. They unleashed the Lycan as well in game 3. So this is not some losers bracket team that has managed to bumble their way to grand finals. These are the best 2 teams in the region.
We are going to see a very open draft so far. We have a Slardar, the most opener of openers right now, whether he's support or off lane. It feels like everyone's okay with picking him up first, as we've seen repetitively in these European qualifiers, followed up by a second pick, Keeper of the Light. The 1-2 punch comes out from Bears, though, Rubik and Darkseer. They deny the Darkseer away from Team Liquid, who could have run the Slardar Darkseer combination, which has been quite prolific. And then they also get probably one of the best opening supports in the pool with the Rubik, who just seems to be kind of good at every draft that he's currently being faced with. Our bans, Naga Siren and Alchemist, trying to take away some of those longer, more defensive style cores that would have just tried to split push and build radiances. And maybe that's because Bears are looking to be able to go 5-man and get a lot of team fight power out of this Darkseer. Well, Liquid opt to take away some of the early game heroes. They take away the Night Stalker, counter to the Keeper of the Light and his daytime vision, as well as the Vengeful Spirit, an early game fighting core, as well as a strong support.
Is a Night Stalker ban a thing? Have I missed Night Stalker approaching competitive levels?
I think it's just versus Coddle. I think that's the only time the Night Stalker really becomes viable, because Keeper of the Light is able to get that early Aghanim Scepter, and if you actually get later on to the game, right, it's like 20 seconds downtime. If you get that level 3 darkness and you get into daytime, it's like darkness. And then you get 20 seconds of daytime, then darkness again, right? You really just can't utilize that hero's late game aspects like you should.
And I guess Liquid aren't too concerned with whatever other signature heroes Bears might have. Firo Invoker is still on the table. Actually, like, pretty much no mids have been banned out by Liquid, so it seems that they're more concerned with the supporting staff of Bears rather than the core staff. And so Liquid, I I haven't been able to catch too many of the games actually, but apparently Rubik is damn good in Liquid's hands, because they this month have played 11 matches and they have a 90% win rate. So partially it might be because Rubik is a good hero, and sure, but maybe it's a denial pick just to not give it to Liquid.
Yeah, Bears have also have been picking up Rubik quite a bit, so it does feel like one of their preferred heroes as well. So I think it just fits nicely into the draft all around. Weaver is going to be picked up
against a Weaver. Yeah.
That's usually one of the bans when you are dealing with a Slardar. I feel like some of the times you are picking up Weaver in the 1-2. If we went earlier on into this qualifier, we would have seen teams trading Slardar and Weaver back and forth, because we never wanted to let Weaver fall into the hands of a Slardar team. And again, I think there are just so many options you can do with this combination. It could be offlane Slardar and safe lane Weaver. It could be offlane Slardar and support Weaver. It could be offlane Weaver and support Slardar. There's so many switcheroos that they could do to be able to make this lineup work, even this deep into the drafting.
Yeah, I don't even think Liquid is 100% certain on which role these heroes are going to fill yet. It's going to depend on what Bears ends up rounding out their draft with. And this is one of the very few teams in which you'll see a Slardar and Lifestealer not banned and Lifestealer not picked. And that's just incredibly surprising to me. I'm not complaining because I'm sick to death of saying the combination. But yeah, I hope that this Weaver is Liquid knows what they're doing, and they don't need to resort to pure meta picks.
I mean, it could still be a Lifestealer pickup, right? It could be offlane or support Weaver. And that could be one of the reasons they pick up the Weaver, is it's a really strong hero versus Lifestealer, so it keeps it out of Bears' hands. I think there's still a possibility we could still see that combination if Bears' lineup is weak enough to it. But what about the Centaur pickup? The Centaur with the Darkseer. Which one goes where? Is it Centaur fulfilling a Slardar-esque support role? As I can presume, or is it going to be a support Darkseer who jungles early and then lends a helping hand to that offlaner?
Yeah, both these heroes can grab an Iron Town and call it quits in the lane if it's too ugly, but right now I feel like it's more Centaur, because Liquid isn't really showing anything to make a Centaur scared. And I'm between the two of Darkseer and Centaur. Darkseer generally has an easier time in a greater percentage of matchups, but Centaur, if you're able to get away with being in the lane, then Darkseer can get a lot more done on other parts of the map. So it depends on how much focus Liquid wants to put in the safe lane. If it is Sport Weaver, that is one of the few things that can cause an issue for a Centaur. I know swarm damage did get nerfed slightly in 7.02, but still you're mainly in it for the armor minus. And so if Liquid gets a good right-clicking core, maybe even a ranged core, then Centaur might have a little difficult time.
Yeah, a real nerf would be like lowering the number of hits required to kill those bugs or something like that, right? It's the fact that the bug sticks on them. You got vision, they've got this minus armor, and Weaver's just poking at you the whole entire time. And you retreat, yeah, but you're losing armor. If you stop to hit the bugs, then Weaver hits you. It's a mess oftentimes in these team fights. But maybe Bears won't have to worry so much about it with the healing ward from the Juggernaut as they grab that hero, while Team Liquid opt for the Invoker now for Miracles. So we don't know what that matchup is going to be just yet. And we don't know whether or not it's going to be Firo or Fada in the mid. But either way, I think that matchup of mid laners is one of the reasons I was so excited about watching this series the first time around, and now the second time around, is can someone challenge Miracle? And it does seem like both Firo and Fada have the chops to take it to him.
I would prefer to see the Juggernaut mid. I mean, Bears can pick anything for their fifth pick, but in terms of lane dominance, like, Keeper is not going to be able to provide too much support to an Invoker, at least in the first few minutes of the game. Whereas a Rubik and a Juggernaut can be extremely irritating for an Invoker. He has to play extremely safe. And obviously, there are plenty of other mids that Bears could pick that would also be really well paired with the Rubik, but I think the Jug Rubik combination could be really impressive.
Lycan, not a surprised ban there for Bears. Got to take that one out of the hands of Matsu.
Do you think we'll see Lycan in this series at all?
I do think so. Maybe a 3-4 pickup as Liquid are not able to 5th pick it. They may choose to try and pick it up in the 3-4 area. And Bears don't seem too scared of it in that as they banned away Naga Siren and Alchemist in this position. So, if you have to leave out one of those 3 cores, if the Lycan slips through, then maybe Liquid will grab it on that.
Yeah, what about the Meepo slipping through, though?
All right, so a Spirit Breaker. This means we now have a safe lane Weaver and a off lane Slardar. So normal core positions for those 2 heroes. But why Spirit Breaker? Good charging hero versus Juggernaut, but what else?
He's definitely going to have a very easy time charging. They've got Corrosive Haze for vision. They've got Swarm Bugs for vision. So early game and mid game, Spirit Breaker is going to be real pain in the ass. The thing is that most of Bears are tanky, not Luna, but Darkseer, Centaur, and Juggernaut are all pretty good at dealing with the Spirit Breaker. I am surprised they go for this 5th pick Luna, but I mean, they do need some late game. I thought Juggernaut would be enough to match up with an Invoker Weaver, and they could go for like a not so farm dependent 5th pick, but Bears feels confident, and they're not too concerned about the Spirit Breaker, apparently.
Yeah, Spirit Breaker's got to be one of the gap closers versus Luna, but then again, she does have that Lucent Beam with a nice mini stun if she has it off cooldown to be able to stop that charge. Are you feeling, which draft are you feeling a little bit more?
I like Liquids because I feel like Bears is more like they were looking at what Liquid was picking and they're like, let's pick this. I think this will go well against this enemy lineup. But based off the 5 heroes that I see, I prefer Liquid's draft. It's more conservative, I feel. Whereas Bears, like, if this Luna doesn't get a good start, then I don't really know how she's going to catch up with the kind of aggression that Liquid has with this Slardar, Sunstrike, Invoker, and Spirit Breaker combination.
At the same time, Bears lineup does look a little bit more snowballier, right? Because Weaver is a slower carry, I think, because in part sometimes you need Lincolns or BKB, and then you can start getting some damage items. You don't have a very good farming mechanism to keep up with the Luna, so you're naturally going to be a bit far behind. Invoker's a little bit slower as well. The real fast heroes they have is Mind Control, Slardar, and Spirit Breaker, but those aren't necessarily going to win you the team fights when Bears do take it to you.
That's true, and I think part of the justification for this 5th pick Spirit Breaker is that the 2 cores that Liquid has of the Invoker and the Weaver actually aren't able to take a bigger backseat, because last series we saw how active a 1-position Lifestealer was. He was creating space for his mid Invoker, and he was just going around ganking, even though he had the safe lane pretty much free farm. This game, I don't really think that Liquid needs to be as aggressive with their cores, but rather just let the Slardar and the Spirit Breaker create space. If they die a few times, whatever, at least our cores are getting well informed.
Now, do you feel that this is a Lincoln's game for the Weaver, or maybe a BKB? Do you feel like that defensive item is needed, or can he go for the Ring of Aquila Dragonlance, more of a stats-focused build, and go for a faster Desolator because he doesn't need that?
Yeah, I would definitely go for stats, because Centaur's Stomp is going to be the primary form of initiation, and then Rubik isn't going to get a blink anytime soon. And so by the time Weaver does complete a Lincoln's, as it is, he doesn't really want to have to participate in fights, and the only initiation he does have to fear is something that can't be blocked by Lincoln's anyway. But if he goes up in stats, then he can just survive the initiation, because there are no silences really, and the hardest form of crowd control you need to be concerned about is the telekinesis, and that's after a Stomp really cracks open the Weaver's defenses.
And we've also seen, besides a Desolator, we've also seen a Diffuser Blade builds. Do you think there is much need for it here? It doesn't dispel the Stampede, but it does deal with the Surge and Ion Shell that Forev is going to be giving.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. That's a interesting question, because Weaver is very versatile these days, not only in terms of role, like we said, with support being a very viable thing these days, which I wouldn't be surprised if we see Ag at some point on this game, even though he is a core. But yeah, it depends on how early you want to start taking fights and how confident you are in the rest of your team making space for you. I think a Diffusal Blade would be a better pickup if he thinks that Mind Control and Kuro with the starter Spirit Breaker aren't being able to, create enough chaos for bears. So it would be the safer bet. And I think Desolator would be probably the ideal thing that he's going for, especially he's got Corrosive Haze to combine with it. So really strong armor strategies, but we'll see if Matu can get away with that.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like, I like the way you put that the Desolator is the more ideal pickup if they can get their good timings right. Mind Control has this blink, Corrosive Haze to be able to jump on the Luna, and it does feel like the Desolator is going to be the bigger threat. No matter what his items are, it's definitely going to be Liquid playing around I think those Weaver and somewhat the Invoker timings quite heavily. They need these two cores. They're not going to be too much of a threatening power early on, maybe with Sunstrikes and the occasional gank or something like that. They can do some power, but I do feel like when it comes to the 5-man a death ball that is going to be coming in from bears with all this pushing power, with the sustain of the mech, it does feel like the Weaver's very focused single target damage against the Luna, against the Juggernaut, that kind of threatening power against those cores is going to be what Liquid have to play around. And when they don't have that, they have to pick and choose their battles very carefully. They have to try and give up some of these towers in exchange for just farming time and let bears take some map control, because if you stumble into these team fights and you are not ready, you don't have the prerequisite items necessary to be able to beat bears could just snowball into you very heavily, and thanks to that healing ward, take a team fight, beat you in it, and then turn that into pushing power with very healthy heroes.
That's why I think it's important that GH on this Coddle also manages to get some levels in farm. From what I see, the game plan is Miracle and Invoker and Weaver are just going to be in their lanes the whole time. Invoker is going to be tossing out Sunstrikes every once in a while to help with Mind Control, Slardar, and the Spirit Breaker, because GH needs to get levels. Otherwise, this 5-man, like you said, of bears is going to be very intimidating, and they don't want to have to give up nap control, because for a Spirit Breaker, every single tower is so valuable that if you manage to lose one, the ganking power of going to that lane just diminishes so greatly. So if they manage to get a high level in Illuminate on GH, then even Healing Ward can only heal so much early on, and you're not going to be able to keep your creep wave on the tower.
Yeah, and controlling these towers also means better Roshan control, right? Which is something that Liquid can sneak in pretty quickly with the Corrosive Haze and the Swarm also being an excellent tool to tank the Roshan shots early on and also make him drop in armor. They can sneak it in, but there is the team fight advantage potentially for bears, and if they start taking those outer towers and they do win some of these team fights, they can, even though they're slower at it, still take Roshan. Maybe not having the minus armor necessary, but they do have easily the physical damage and sustain.
That's kind of what I'm curious about, what Ferev's item build on this Darkseer is going to be, because obviously they want sustain, so mech, Greaves, Pipe, any combination of those three. Hell, even a Crimson Guard wouldn't be so bad, but it would probably be the Centaur who builds that. But I think a Blink Darkseer could also be extremely useful this game, because they are going to need to kill Coddle if they want to go for pushes. Like early game, maybe you're gonna get pushed back by Illuminate, but it's only early level, whatever. Late game, though, you can't exclusively rely on the Centaur or even the Manta Illusions of a Luna, because they're just gonna get blown up by Illuminate.
Mm-hmm. And so in this case, are you thinking like go for the mech, maybe full out Guardian Greaves, and then try and time your Blink Dagger timing on Ferev with Yapzor's Blink, so they can get that nice combination of initiation, the vacuum into the Blink Hoof Stomp, in order to win and catch some of these backline heroes that are defending these towers?
Yeah, it'll be pick-off oriented, though I do think that Ferev will need to finish the Greaves, because I think Mana Leak is going to be very irritating for him, and then obviously being able to take off Corrosive Haze will be important as well, so he may just go for the full Greaves, and then depending on how the game is going, maybe he can just go for a Pipe, say screw it, you can Illuminate, but at least some of our creeps are going to get through, and that'll be enough for our Luna to get some chip damage on the tower, and then if we manage to get the tower down, then your entire base is under attack because of Glaives.
Yeah, and there's a lot of really big utility items that are going to be useful in this game, right? Lotus Orb and Shivas both have a lot of value for Yapzor and Ferev. because of the fact that they can take away this corrosive haze, heavy armor, attack speed reduction from the Shivas also means a counter to a lot of the physical damage and minus armor. So it does seem like the snowball can play out very well for Bears if they can get that snowball rolling, if they can get a lot of these outer towers and start getting towards these later game items. Their 3 and 4 position can actually itemize very well to try and counter Team Liquid. But the one thing we haven't really touched on heavily here, we've kind of talked about YapzOr playing this 4-position-esque Slardar, but how effective is it actually going to be? Because there is a significant difference. Just because you both have a stun, there is quite the difference. First of all, you don't have the early movement speed that Sprint allows you to be able to have as a 4 position, so your roaming potential is not going to be nearly as strong. And then while you do finally get that movement speed in Stampede, you don't have this great minus armor ability in Corrosive Haze, which is, I think, a brilliant utility to have from your 4 position.
That's why I think Centaur is fine, because it would be foolish to kind of go up against Liquid at their own game, which is going to be early roaming aggression. You would be wasting your time as a Centaur if you're trying to keep the pace with the Spearbreaker Slardar. What Centaur does offer is it's a very, very safe laner. Like, you may get gone on by a Spearbreaker charge, but the chances of you dying are very slim. So YapzOr is going to be playing conservatively. I know last series we saw him doing work on the Earth Spirit, and I mean, he's an extremely competent roamer, but this game I think he's going to be forced to play it a little bit more safe. At most, just go for TP rotations to counter initiate against these Spearbreaker charges, but in terms of his own roaming potential, he's not going to do anything until he gets a blink.
Okay, so you think the Centaur 4 position has a lot of potential to start taking over the scene as Slardar did? You think this hero is equally viable as a support as Slardar is?
Well, it's never really been just about Slardar, though, right? Like, whenever we see Slardar, it's usually some combination of a hero that goes with him. Like, it's not the kind of thing where it's a bounty hunter and he can just, like, you throw a bounty hunter into any lane and he'll manage to get a kill somehow. Slardar, usually, like, you'll see him with a Rubik, or you'll see him with Lifestealer, you'll see him here with Spearbreaker. Most of the times when he's just by himself, he is like a Centaur. He just chills in his lane, tries to get his farm, acts irritating to the enemy carry, gets a Blink Dagger, and then the whole game opens up. So I can see Centaur fitting a similar role, but until Slardar gets more nerfs, I think you only pick Centaur if you want his Ag ult. Other than that, you're better off picking Slardar in most situations.
Well, Tsunami, I had a pretty big list of things to talk about.
And we burned through all of it?
I've just reached my end. Anything you want to talk about?
Furo is playing the Juggernaut, so we didn't really know who was going to be sent mid during the draft, but yeah, Fada's going to be on the Luna, and Furo's going to be on the mid Juggernaut, and obviously Miracle is no stranger to the matchup, but it's not the easiest matchup for Invoker, especially if, like I had said in draft, Adam Rubik is going to be hanging around the mid lane all the time.
Do you think that leads us more into an Exort or Wexort build from the Invoker, or do you think a Quas Wex is needed to be able to burn out Bears when they go for these pushes?
Every time I think that Quas Wex is going to be a thing, it doesn't happen, and then the Invoker is just like, nah, I'm just going to go Exort, I'm going to get a Midas, I'm going to go Ag, and then by the time the enemy team decides to 5-man, already the Invoker has a whole bunch of points in Quas anyway, so for the laning phase, he's definitely going to need to be going heavy Wexort, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure now that I've said that, it's going to be the complete opposite, but I would think that he needs all the damage in lane as possible. Or, I mean, maybe he needs access to Ghostwalk so he can get out of a telekinesis and blade sharing.
I'm with you on that, though.
Miracle's mind.
I'll back you up on the Wexort. I think the Wexort, it's going to help in lane, but I also think the high level of Sunstrike is going to be required, because we said that the Weaver is going to be a bit of a slower hero and won't be able to offer you the same kind of team fight potential that the Luna can. So the pickoff is going to be incredibly important. That's where Mind Control and Curl can really excel, right? You've got two heroes that are excellent at being able to pick people off. Curl's charge can lead straight into a Sunstrike if he gets his early ultimate as well. Thanks to a couple Sunstrike kills, then that increases the kill power of the Spirit Breaker twofold. Allows you a lot more time to be able to disable heroes and get damage out of them, and opportunities for more 17%. So I think the Sun Strike is going to be pretty key importance. And also, there is a bit of lack of damage and the potential for the right kind of initiation in the first couple of team fights. If they can defend their towers with the right meatball, right? The right meteor blast that comes down, that is going to give them the damage that is somewhat lacking on the side of Liquid early on.
Yeah, especially if they can combine that with an Illuminate. Bears needs to, like, just leave that fight.
YapzOr standing strong against the attempted incursion of the Matumba Man Weaver as he tries to get the wards down. YapzOr is a bit too quick for him, so no aggressive wards going to be placed out by Liquid yet. GH is going to grab those wards from Matu as he heads on back for a full heal. Frev is going to be our offlaner. Of course, we already talked about that as the offlane Darkseer and a 4-position Centaur. But what I was kind of curious is whether or not YapzOr would be spending much time in the bottom lane with him. The Darkseer Slardar combination is quite strong, but a little bit of it has to be the fact that you have that sprint and you're able to close distances with the sprint, allow that Ion Shell to do its work. YapzOr seems to, at least for now, be starting off in the top lane to help Fada and zone away that offlaner and the mind control Slardar.
I mean, sprint is great, but thankfully Darkseer provides a handy-dandy surge, so if you do manage to bring Centaur to this offlane, then if you get a good Sentry Ward or Dust, this Weaver is not nearly tanky enough to eat a few seconds of Ion Shell under stun and then a double edge. So I think YapzOr is going to get a few levels elsewhere, but once he's maybe level 4, I wouldn't be surprised if he ventures onto this bot lane.
Yeah, YapzOr, I think he's just here to counter the Keeper of the Light. They know the strategy, right? Keeper of the Light, time and time again, they go up to the dual lane, they sit in the side areas, and they spam out Illumina Blast over and over and over again. And you could see not just this ward, but also YapzOr's surprise positioning here is going to be able to catch GH out. Now, they've already got the stun onto the Luna, so they're not going to be able to get that extra help. But it looks like with YapzOr and the body blocks and the very, very squishy HP of the Coddle, they will manage to get that first blood. Mind Control's trying to get some damage on Adam in return, but the damage has already been done. They've got that first blood for Adam. He's going to be able to pick up some fast boots, and they'll fare a lot better against this aggro dual lane.
Yeah, he has telekinesis up, but YapzOr does not have the mana for a second stomp yet. He's not sipping on his clarity, but I mean, it's not easy to get a kill on the Slardar. Just getting the kill on the Coddle was important enough that, well, actually, they might go for it again. Oh boy.
GH, he laid the counter ward down in lane, but he's still being scattered out, so he's going to be caught once again. The telekinesis into the stomp. They do have a nuke coming out from the Luna as well. He's holding on to it. Looks like YapzOr is going to be the one to claim the kill. I think they really wanted to get it to YapzOr. The way that YapzOr was playing that out, maybe he really feels like he needs the fast Tranquil Boots to be more effective as a roamer.
That would definitely make sense. It's a risky gambit, but it's working really well so far. And I mean, even Mind Control is kind of like, what do I do here? Spear Breaker charged up, but that was just mainly just to get out of the bot lane. Now he's going to go back over to the secret shop. I don't really know what Kuro's going to do right now then, because Slardar's not having a good time. So this safe lane is basically won for Bears in my eyes.
Yeah, it seems like it. And the off lane for Bears is going pretty well too. Darkseer early on is able to actually put a decent amount of pressure onto the Weaver. Of course, the Weaver still one of the better safe lane cores to deal with this 1v1, and it'll just get better over time.
Invis Kuro has the rune, but Furo salves up, so he's back to full, and it is actually going to be a QE invoker, so...
Okay. Well, see a small stun onto Furo. Kuro just trying to make use of this double damage. No, that's not a double. No, Jesus, that's just cosmetic. Jesus Christ, that's confusing. Holy shit. All right, well, it's still, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't stuck around to pick up level 2 somewhere. He finally does, but those first charges, they aren't really threatening at all without having the bash leveled up.
Yeah, no, I like how he went for the right click out of the invis, and I was like, oh man, if he gets a first bash, then I'm like, wait, he's still level 1.
Yeah.
And Miracle actually did not invoke Cold Snap during that entire thing, but I mean, I guess there was no way you're going to get a kill attempt anyway, so might as well conserve your mana for when you finally can get a kill attempt.
Yeah, what is with that? Because I thought the Wexord build was better versus the Juggernaut because Jug can spin out, but I guess he's been threatening enough with Cold Snap that he feels like he can just burn through the mana of Firo.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, just forcing out the healing wards. Firo is maxing out the Blade Spin, so it's going to be an issue, especially if Yapzor can get a stomp, but he's not fast enough, even though... Oh no, yeah, he doesn't have his Tranquils completed yet. He has the money for it, though.
Yeah, so if he wants to head back to base, use the next courier round, he'll get those Tranquil Boots, and that'll be a big upgrade for him. Move around the map a lot quicker and maybe able to close that distance well enough to be able to get successful ganks. JH is still here in the top lane. He did manage to pick up his level 2, but it feels like Mind Control is not feeling this lane so much anymore. Picks up the 4-minute rune, dealt with the neutrals, but not going to spawn again. So they'll have to try and make this work. Adam and Yapzor continue to zone out these heroes. This laning ward has done so much for them. Fada's going to run into Mind Control here. The sprint does allow him to phase through Fada. Fortunately, he got through him before the sprint actually wore out there.
And now Adam and Yapzor might even feel confident. They're going to leave this Luna alone as they go for a smoke on the mid lane.
The ping comes out from GH, though. He's pinging on the cliff. I think he's saying, hey, they're rotating up here.
Scanned.
And there's the successful scan, so Miracle shouldn't be caught out by this one.
Forev, all swarmed up.
And he's dead. There it is. Matu picks up the kill. Thank you, Kuro, for the assistance. Adam actually managed to get all the way behind Miracle, so even though they got the scan, they made the read, the supports are coming, and all that, he may still manage to get this one because of a very deep ward, like that you ping that one out there, and at a full rotation on the right-hand side. Miracle's playing on the right-hand side because he's expecting the rotation to come over here, but now caught by the telekinesis. Here comes the spin. Nice cold snap. That's going to stop the hoof stomp. Yapzor can't close it, but the blade spin is still good enough. Miracle responded the best way he could, as well as the rest of Liquid. All instant TPing like that was nice. Kuro barely managed to get away from the Darkseer bottom lane. Almost ends up dying to that Ion Shell.
Well, Firo needs to be careful here, though. His Blade Fury is down. He doesn't even have the mana for it.
Sunstrike! Ooh! A Miracle gets the revenge on Firo.
Thank you for putting that anime touch to it. It really added to the epicness of
I'm
it.
sure it did. I know Miracle likes his anime.
Of course.
That's for him. That's for him, not for you.
You gotta know your demographic.
It did rotate Matu out of that lane, so Freb is actually getting quite a bit. Despite dying once, he is, well, he's not totally top of the board. 32-0, tied up with 32-15 Fada.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot than this what this Slardar is getting, that's for sure. Slardar is sitting on 13-0, and I mean he's only level 5, whereas the Darkseer is level 6.25, so really the offlane is going much healthier for Bears, which is to be expected. Darkseer is a more Crush, Illuminate, a lot of damage on Fada, but Darkseer is a much better offlaner than Slardar, especially in a 1v1 situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was actually just trying to figure out whether or not Forev was super far ahead, but then I remembered, hey, Fada's had a total free lane. He's probably picked up almost every single CS in lane, so it's not surprising that Fada is even with Forev, who is oftentimes going to be picking not just the laning phase creeps, but also some neutrals as a bonus as well. So you're used to kind of seeing this 1v1 Darkseer be way ahead in CS over everybody, but it is really just showing the strength of this defensive Trine lane that Fada is actually ahead of him in CS. Firo is the one who's lacking a little bit. He's the only core who's a bit behind, but we've kind of explained that one away with some of the rotations of the Spirit Breaker, as well as this Quas Exort build from Miracle. Did get the early CS advantage over Jug.
And Mind Control finds some recovery as well. There's a stacked camp here that they're taking along with the Keeper of the Light, so that helps out because really Mind Control's blink timing is going to be very important. And wow, he's getting really low to these neutrals. Oh, we Fairy Flowers.
Would be good. Heads on back to base with his bottle. It's not the norm. Pick up. A lot of people theory crafted that bottles are going to be picked up a lot more on 4 and 3 positions, but I can't say I've seen too many Slardar bottles here.
Yeah, where Shrine's not a thing, then perhaps, which Shrines may be important now, is Rubik and Centaur venturing deep.
Nice ward placement there. Make sure they catch GH. We'll manage to get that one kill, but they are being charged. They're going to be punished for their aggression here. Let's see if one or both of them is going to be able to make it out alive. And one of them is definitely not. Yapzor gets hit by the charge. Adam also, who Kuro was charging through, attempts the TP as the charge. Oh my god. He barely got out. I can't believe that. With the bug on him, I thought for sure he was going to die to the physical damage.
Yo, I'd be sweating. Adam is very happy he got out. He is level 5 on this Rubik, actually, which is exceptional. He's actually out-leveling his Centaur, and so these rotations, these smoke rotations, even though that one was kind of a trade, still working out in the benefit of Bears by quite a bit, because the whole time, Luna is free farming unless she gets gone in.
Eclipse! She's definitely dead, and she won't be able to get the counter kill. They just bursted her down too quickly. Only got, like, I think 1 Eclipse beam out there, so Kuro did manage to survive through that. Some early rotations from Weaver. I like this, especially since he got the 1v1, has the high levels of the Swarm. This ability is so toxic to deal with early on. Even high armor heroes like Luna just melt.
Yeah, here I was claiming that the Weaver was going to be playing more conservatively, and I mean, this one didn't even need a Sunstrike combination, but I mean, the best way to farm is by farming heroes. Who cares about the wave? Weaver is level 9 right now, so he is perfectly okay with leaving a lane alone for a little bit. This bot lane is getting kind of low. Darkseer is cutting the wave, and it's probably going to go down eventually, but who cares if Weaver's getting such a good start? Oh, mid lane, Firo, oh no.
Firo, right-click down. He does not have the Omni. Nice Ghost Walk there. That was perfectly timed. If it would have been even better if Omni Slash had been used, but still, Miracle managing to beat out Firo pretty handedly now in that 1v1 mid lane.
Now that was anime. That was definitely anime.
Miracle, all according to plan for him. We hit our 10-minute marker now. I do like that Matu. I think he had to get aggressive early because you don't want to let Bears in a relaxed state get to their timing, which is going to be the mech onto the Darkseer. You got to start getting aggressive on them before that.
Rubik, top lane.
Sunstrike coming in. Nails him. Miracle.
Sunstrike. At least GH might have some issues with Forev on the bot lane, though. Vacuum back. Wall used.
Forev's going to try and run him down here. GH can't really do much about that, so he's just...
Surges up again.
Should be. Don't get body blocked by your own illusion. Oh, no. GH is too fast. Forev is not going to be able to get that kill. Centaur's coming over to try and help him out, but mind control with the Corrosive Haze and the Sunstrike coming in. It's close. Forev with the Surge out. He is not going to be able to get away. What? That was so much damage from that last hit from Mind Control. Nice pullback there. Adam gets the Telekinesis and the Stolen Crush on a Crow right in front of the tower, but the TPs are not going to be fast enough. So 7-4 now. Liquid taking an early lead.
Though I would, if I were Liquid, I'd be just fine with that because it was a Keeper of the Light for a solo farming Darkseer who's level 9. So yeah, I'd be just fine with that. Even though it did force out a lot of rotations, but I mean, Matumba Man does not need any help. He's bullying this Helm of the Dominator, Fata, Luna just by himself. And Luna does opt for an armor creep, so hopefully the Swarm will not be as irritating as it was before.
Yeah, that helps out a lot. Now has 19 armor. Even the Swarm is going to have a hard time cutting through that. While the rest of Bears are going to smoke up. The Helmadom creep will pull the creeps off the
They didn't smoke up under
tower.
this ward, did they?
This mid tower? No.
No. Sorry, this ward in the.
No, I don't think so. No, I think they were far enough back that they didn't get scouted. But it might just be
control.
All this aggressive vision does at least say there's no heroes on the map. Like we see Jug mid, we don't see Luna, we don't see the other 3 heroes. So you could see all Liquid are kind of playing back and defensively right now.
All of them are hanging around this mid lane, but Miracle has evacuated a long time ago, has completed that first item, Midas, and is going for the Aghanim's second item, as per the usual in this patch. We'll see if Mind Control might tank the gank mid, as Adam is eagerly waiting to Telekinesis and then Slitherine Crush with his stolen spell.
This is a nice play. He's eating through the trees to get the surprise initiation. He may not have a Blink Dagger, but it may be of same effect. If Bears don't react fast enough, here comes the entrance. Gets the stun onto Fada. Immediately Omni Slash down. Firo's not able to finish him off, though. He goes a little bit deeper, but the sprint, he's already away. Now the bump back from Kuro, and Firo is stuck underneath that tower. Nice turnaround there with the vacuum wall, but that's unlikely to stop Liquid from getting aggressive. Oh, the turnaround. Nice Illuminate Blast with the Tornado over the top on a 3. It halts the Stampede for a second, but Kuro still ends up dying there. They end up trading still. Kuro for Firo, well worth it in the end, again, for Liquid.
I like how Kuro basically like the equivalent of ripping his shirt off after he got hit by that wall. He just charges out of all the illusions, but unfortunately didn't get much. Nice, I guess, reactionary play by the Rubik to immediately lift up the Spear Breaker. And while all that did go down and the Juggernaut did die, the flip side is that Rubik has Shikuchi, which is going in on this Miracle. But man,
Oh,
Miracle is
barely
so
off the mark.
tanky. This dude has 1600 HP right now at 14 minutes in the game. This is not an easy target to kill. I mean, even Omni slash Furo was barely able to just bring the Slardar down to critical levels, and that Slardar is not nearly as tanky as this Invoker.
Yeah, you can see, even if they did hit that host stop, I don't think an additional Darkseer Ion Shell is going to let them kill the this mid Invoker, especially with the high levels of Quas. He can even just regen back up to full. They really want to keep these outer towers alive. They do not want to let Bears get that snowball rolling. But we are going to have another entrance here from Adam with the Shikuchi. Spots out.
No.
He's going to be on top of Matu here. Does get away with the Shikuchi. That's going to be a
Tower
wasted
denied.
swarm as well. Good deny from Miracle.
These pushes are not working out. This Illuminate is level 3, level 4
Trying to get
Chakra,
Matu,
they
but they're
lift
not
up
going to be
Weaver.
fast enough. A little bit of a mini stun. The Stampede comes out, but it's a bit too late. Adam maybe jumps in. Oh, Fada, he's too far forward. Now the Sunstrike's going to be able to finish him off with the last right click coming out from Matumba Man. Without that
Nice
Eclipse,
charge cancel.
That charge, it stops Firo's spin TP out. He's absolutely going to be able to maybe get more. They get Firo. Looks like he was dancing with some of the backline heroes. It's going to be Forev, who's caught the early Blink Dagger of Mind Control. Eliminates him 11-5. Liquid have indeed halted any progression when it comes to taking towers. They denied the mid lane tower, all their outer towers. The other ones are still up, and Liquid have resoundingly defeated Bears in team fight after team fight. They're even trying to sneak in Roshan now.
I don't know why Fada felt the need to show up to that fight on his Luna. This Luna is not, like, it's not farmed enough to show up to this fight. All it has is a Helm of the Dominator and an Ogre Club that's going into a Dragonlance. That's not nearly enough to go up against what Liquid has right now. Matumba Man has, actually he's only sitting on the Dragonlance, but I mean, just the hero himself is so high leveled that the Luna can't stand. So like Eclipse wasn't even used because he got lifted immediately, and then Cold Snap afterwards, and then it just all fell apart. I'm surprised that Bears wanted to take a fight after that tower got denied.
I forgot about this third item build. Weaver is going to have the Maelstrom. And I like that actually because it helps push out these waves quite a bit, and it gives you some magic damage to lay into the Luna, their high armor. So Yabsor, it looks like a large part of this. Bears may just have to wait until they have the Blink Dagger. Nice Tornado EMP combination. Firo actually just tanks it instead of using his Blade Dance, but they actually tank a Luminate as well. Sunstrike coming in, but they're all healed up by this healing ward. So Liquid, as much as they can defend towers, I don't think they can actually take tier 1s just yet.
It's only going to get harder for them, but they're banking on getting a pick-off. Right now, like, I guess only now has Matumba Man decided to go farm for like the first time in 10 minutes. He's been just showing up to all the fights, which is the opposite of what Fada has been doing. So it's coming down to the game style that Liquid was trying to encourage. They have, I mean, it's not even the Spirit Breaker that's getting all these kills. It's all 5 heroes of Liquid are like, yeah, we see a fight opening, let's go take it. What the hell is Bears going to do right now? They don't have a Blink Dagger on their Centaur, but we have a Blink Dagger on our Slardar. How are they going to initiate? How are they going to counter-initiate?
Yeah, Bears may have to take some time to farm up that item. The Blink there, the Dragonlance finished up on Fada. They need some extra stats, just because it seems like the damage is a bit too much from Liquid right now. But this poses another problem because they're also going to get split pushed out to hell. Not only are we going to have this Maelstrom pick up on the Weaver, we also have GH, who we didn't really talk about, but this recall ability is going to allow Miracle to push out certain waves and still be there when they need the 5-man at the right times. Liquid are trying to surprise Bears right now with a 4-man smoke up the top lane after showing Miracle bottom, but Bears are not taking the bait. They're all
Yeah,
bottom.
why bother split pushing if you can just send all 5 of your heroes? They're smoked up, but Liquid's not going to find anything with this smoke, but they should be able to just push this tower basically uncontested because I don't really know, like, Bears is not in position to rotate now, and they can use a glyph if they want, but I don't really think they're going to go for the defense. They're just going to stall as they take a tier 1 bot in return.
This is a very stark contrast. Look at the Miracles build. he has the 30% experience gain as opposed to the extra Forge Spirit to push, despite having an Exort build. Whereas we saw Firo actually not leveling talents at all and just trying to get the maxed out orbs. I've actually talked to, I've got a friend, Modip, who plays in NA, plays a lot of Invoker. He said the 30% experience is actually a pretty big buff. If you're talking about levels, you can get your level 20 by the time you would normally be 18, 19 area, and you get your 25 by the time you would be level 20, 21. So it is a significant timing difference, and you're able to get to those, especially that last talent, a lot faster if you choose this 15 route.
Yeah, I've really never understood why so many Invokers have been skipping talents recently, because if you get a Midas, the Midas gets boosted by the experience gained talent. So if you want to level up all your orbs, I don't know why you'd skip out on spending 2 skill points on 2 talents. I mean, it's not the level 10 talent, but I mean, whatever, it's no big deal. Kuro charging bot, though.
Doesn't actually manage to snag anybody there. Bears will retreat pretty freely. They've lost a lot of their outer towers now because Liquid are just gotten so big, but I think Bears, just like we've talked about before, they seem to have a pretty good read on timings and such. They missed their first timing, and they know that too. So they can't fight Liquid. They're not trying to. They're trying to reach some of their mid-game items and go again with their 5-man later on into the game.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not hitting their timings in terms of objectives because, like we said, early push would be great for Bears, the way that their team is developed. And I mean, they have a mech completed on Darkseer, but the time for, oh man, charge up on Firo, he has no protection.
Yeah, it really doesn't. What is he going to do? Try and spin? He doesn't even have the TP up. They have Kuro's ultimate as well.
Oh,
the
no.
bump back. Oh, okay, that's a little unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. The physical damage is easily going to be able to deal with that one. Miracle does get caught in bottom lane, though. If they can kill him again, and it's going to be a little difficult with the tornado, but they might just be able to do it. He throws out the tornado immediately, but they get the telekinesis off first with the eclipse over the top. They do manage to kill him. So Bears are very happily going to make that exchange. They took an Aegis and a very high experience and high net worth hero down in return.
It was split amongst 5 dire heroes, so not as big of a boost as it would have been if it was just one pickoff. Oh man, GH, you need to be careful here.
He's trying to push out aggressively, but is going to be caught.
That was
stolen
a stolen
Sunstrike. Yeah, I was like,
Sunstrike.
wait. Miracle's dead. What the hell? Adam stole the Sunstrike.
I mean, I know
earlier.
he's good, but he's not that good.
Sunstrike from the dead.
All right, well, they're getting some pickoffs, and like you said, it's on high experience targets. This Keeper of the Light is getting really close to his ag, or at least he was. I think he's about like 2,000 gold away, but he's been getting a lot of levels as well. And so all these pickoffs are very important because unfortunately, it's not Juggernaut participating in them, but Luna is still a very important core, and she's working on a Manta style right now, which means that we haven't seen the extent of Bear's pushing power yet, but it is substantial.
I do feel like we see the best of Bears when they're behind. It just seems to be this repetitive thing where they do know how to play when they're dramatically behind. They've lost the early game. Of course, you would rather not lose the early game in the first place, but it's kind of almost like the opposite of Cloud9, who were known for taking early game advantages with their 5-man and then stalling out. Bears seem to know how to take disadvantages, play conservatively, find the right kind of pickoffs to turn the game back into their favor again.
I think one of the most impressive thing about Bears is that they always really, they're very adaptive. Like, depending on how the game is going, not only in terms of play style, but the way that they'll itemize, it's all up for grabs. They don't walk into a game being like, this is the way it's going to go, and we're going to keep bashing our head against the wall until it finally works out.
Miracle. Oh, vacuum back with a Stampede. They don't have counter vision. No, Bears. You've missed out on a huge kill. They could have gotten Miracle again, but they're not going to find him.
More.
Oh, they drop a ward. Adam's going to be bumped back by the Kuro ultimate, and that will be his death. Actually does hit the Sunstrike, so Kuro's a little bit low. That's Yearn, though. Miracle's trying to catch more with the Tornado. Bears do manage to dodge it and sit back. So as much as Bears, we praise them, hey, they know how to play conservatively. They do realize some of these timings and such. Let's not forget that Liquid are very far ahead. Just because they got a pick off and took away an Aegis does not mean they're anywhere close to being able to attain control of this game again. And Liquid also know how to adapt, right? They know, okay, this team's playing conservatively and stuff, and they will occasionally push out for these picks. Let's go ahead and 5-man a bit more and secure our 10,000 gold lead and 10,000 experience. If Bears want to try and take that away from us, they're going to have to meet us 5v5.
And now maybe Liquid's a little bit more scared. Yapzor has completed his Blink Dagger on Centaur, and so what was the original issue of a severe lack of initiation on Bears' part has been somewhat mitigated. They would have really liked to use that on the Invoker kill top after Rubik found out, but unfortunately Stampede was used earlier, and just a Blink Dagger will not be enough to bring a Centaur into position. But I mean, he's working on his Ag next item, and that's going to be the real important item, assuming that Centaur is allowed to finish it.
Yeah, we'll see if he can, though. That item build that we talked about on Forev, he does go for just that. The mech Arcane Boots doesn't finish off the Greaves, probably because they were behind and they needed that Blink Dagger.
Right.
But they do reach that Blink Dagger timing around the same. They do have this opportunity. They do have some potential for really good team fight initiation if they can get the right Vacuum Stomp turned into the Eclipse. That can just straight up, those 3 abilities can win them the fight and get them multiple kills. But it doesn't seem like Liquid is giving them any, at least too much quarter for those opportunities. They're actually just split pushing right now, staying relatively grouped up, but pushing out the lanes that Bears are not in. Does mean Bears will get a tier 1 tower, traded for the tier 1 at bottom lane.
Yeah, see, even Invoker or Keeper, they're not confident in going for counter pushes anymore. At least Keeper won't be until he gets his Ag completed, which should be coming now. So he has his Ag now. So now he's just fine. Now he's perfectly okay with going for pushes, which I hope they defend this top tier 2 instead of trading, because I think a trade is in Bears' favor, not Liquid's favor, but actually Bears back off.
Yeah, maybe not feeling comfortable with potentially Liquid fighting them at that tier 2. I don't think they had a whole lot of vision of what Liquid were up to, just the Weaver pushing bottom. They see him now, thanks to this ward, as Liquid do start getting a little bit closer to Matu, but I think they're a little bit scared of like maybe a smoke wraparound or something with Weaver TPing in, because there is still that shrine behind them if they push for tier 2, and that'd be a very dangerous fighting style, right? Liquid, especially with the Weaver, want to be able to make more chaotic team fights, while Bears need the clumped up, very uniform, hey, if there's 3 heroes grouped up here, we hit the Vacuum and Hoof Stomp.
Oh, GH recalling in Miracle, and they have a bunch of vision. And Bears has no vision, but they know that there's a lot to be scared of.
Yeah, they don't seem to feel comfortable. I don't know. They do have a smoke, but
oh man, I don't think they should go for this.
I don't think so either, but they're going to try for it. They start streaming forward. They have the Surge out. Attempted Vacuum on the side. He had the right idea, but he didn't know exactly where Miracle was. They try and hit the Stomp. They do hit it onto Miracle, but he does have that fresh up. Lincoln's blocks a lot of the damage. Matumba Man's tearing Adam apart, and Mind Control's 1v1ing for Red pretty easily. It's all up to Firo now to try and get as much damage onto Miracle, but they can't do it. They're stuck inside the trees. Firo's going to have to TP out. Cold Snap stops him. He's done for, and Fada, he's left against 5 heroes all by himself. Fada has no chance in hell of getting out of here. A big fight for a big fight for Liquid as they take on all 5 mana of Bears on a tier 2, which means they can go straight for the high ground push.
Okay, let's go inside the mind of a bear. You have a pretty underfarmed Juggernaut, basically leading a smoke that he wasn't even smoked under. The tower is already dead, so you don't even have tower damage to help you out. I guess Eclipse can somewhat mitigate the Ag Coddle, but not really. The Centaur didn't get a good blink. What was the best case scenario for Bears?
I think they're just desperate. I think they knew, they at least had the right idea that there were heroes on the side here, and they're hoping they would just get the right kind of Vacuum Stomp, turn the fight. The Telekinesis not going to do a whole lot there. Firo tries to get the Omni Slash, but now going to be countered. He's done for. Melee racks also going to fall here. Liquid have taken 2 lanes of racks by 27.5 minutes.
It's daytime. Even if you're this desperate, you can't be just, like, foolish about it. And, I mean, I've never seen a Deafening Blast take off that much damage from a Juggernaut, just the spell itself. But Miracle is level 22 with this experience gain thing. It's gone for, like, a pure aggression build, aside from the Lincolns, but the Blink Dagger BOTs, he's not concerned about stats, he's just concerned about making room for Matumba Man. And the other thing about that tier 2 bot is that they knew that Matumba Man had a freshly completed BKB as well. So even if they do manage to get initiation, they have to deal with a time lapse and a BKB. So I don't know why they just didn't hold that for high ground, but I guess I can't keep harping on it as Roche goes down.
That'll be an Aegis for Matumba Man, who's got the completed Mjolnir alongside that BKB. Fishing Sunstrikes, not sure where it landed, but Adam does have the Shukuchi potential for initiation. Matumba Man's actually almost entirely out of mana, has enough for a time lapse. Nice vacuum wall combination, though. That's going to be big with the hoof stomp. They're going to be able to take out 2 almost immediately. Maybe Bears can actually win this fight. Matumba Man without mana and without a time lapse.
He has BKB, though.
He does have BKB for this next engagement, so they might just be able to fight this out if Miracle hits the right kind of combinations. First Tornado and EMP is not too much of a hit, but it will separate Firo enough for them to be able to right-click him down. Fada pursues out for GH, does put a Manta off that one. Oh, nice stun onto Matumba Man. Maybe he can finish him off. They need a little bit more, but he gets away. Fada, he does man up against GH God, but Miracle is too much for him to handle. They do pick up, thanks to the Bouncing Glaives, the kill on GH, but the other kill that they really wanted, Matu, he does manage to get away.
Man, that is super impressive. I thought that Bears was basically just like, whatever, man, let's just get this game over with. Let's take a fight outside of our towers. But, I mean, it makes sense. If you fight at your high ground, you're basically saying, like, yeah, we're going to lose the game. We're just stalling. Miracle finds the Centaur, but Centaur blinks out. So I am surprised that Liquid was not able to withstand that. I mean, really the first casualties were the Slardar Spearbreaker. They were caught out of position, got vacuum walled, and then just got blown up. But taking down the Aegis, taking out another BKB charge of the Weaver, I mean, this is important stuff. I don't think it'll be enough, but every little bit helps.
Invoker rapidly closing in on that level 25. Making that last stretch, has the Octarine Core as well, so the damage is coming out over and over again. I'm still, you know, I'm Octarine Core with the Tornado reduction, that buff that it received.
Super low.
Maybe he'll go for it here. Burns out Yapzor. All of his mana is gone. Going to be charged up by Kuro. Has the ultimate ready to go. Nice vacuum interception there, but it's not going to be enough to save Yapzor, unfortunately. They need that progression into the Aghanim Scepter if Bears hope to make a desperate comeback here, but it just seems to never happen. Liquid are closing in on taking that last Rax.
1 step forward, 2 steps back. Thankfully, they get a leak onto Fada, but he purges it off. Yeah, I mean, like, Fada has not been able to participate in a majority of this game. He got that Eclipse off to finish off the Slardar and the Spearbreaker after that vac wall, but that was just 2 targets, and it wasn't any of the cores. And even if it was a core, Matumba Man has still an 8-second BKB, which he might just use now.
Telekinesis, but they needed more follow-up, more stuns to be able to come out. BKBs all around from Liquid, so they just ignoring all this Eclipse. Fada is left with just physical damage, and that'll never be enough. So Liquid are able to take game number 1 against Bears pretty handedly, too. I have to say, the Weaver, Slardar did manage, like Weaver especially, getting aggressive early, did a lot for them. I think that Bears just, and it was that mid lane defense. I think that actually just broke Bears in many ways. It just started them off in such a bad way. And around that 15-minute mark, when they tried to push into that mid-tier 1 tower and were not able to finish it off, I think part of that is just a decent laning phase showing from Liquid that turns into a strong defense.
Yeah, the game was on a precipice. Matumba Man was making so much space early on, ends the game 11-0-8. So didn't die a single time on this Weaver, and this was an active Weaver. It wasn't just a passively farming Weaver, and it was a Weaver that didn't even go for very many defensive items. We considered the Lincolns early on, didn't happen. Instead went for the Mjolnir, Dragonlance, and then went back for the BKB. So well played by Liquid. I mean, I wouldn't even say that it was a draft victory. Normally, whenever you get a 5th pit Spearbreaker, you're like, oh geez, I wasn't expecting this. Now all of our heroes are just going to be served up on a plate. But I mean, Kuro didn't do bad that game by any means, but like he wasn't the game changer by like any factor. But well played by Liquid.
Well played indeed. They're 1 game up in this best of 3 grand finals for the DAC European qualifiers. Which one of these 2 teams is going to be heading to DAC, the pseudo major, as we've been talking about? We'll have to see. Break time before game 2.